this is the wrong one. I'm just telling you that.
Oh. It's not this one?
Yeah, what? No, we just finished this one.
Oh. I must have labeled my YouTube video wrong then.
Yeah, you're on. We just did this.
Okay.
And yes, I do believe I read this one.
Wait, no? I never saw this image.
Yeah, we didn't
I'm
read
supposed
this
to.
one.
Okay.
We didn't read this one.
Okay. I think he's still slightly loud, but okay. You need to keep only your head to be the same. Oi. Distort! Distort now! No! Okay. I think you read last time, so I guess I'll read this chapter. Alright.
Correct.
There are no more distortions left in the cellar. All that remains are the bodies of 46 people. Go ahead and tell us what to do next, Dr. Moses. Vespa asked in a cynical tone. We should go up, of course. I can't put my hand on my forehead or smoke from my pipe anymore. I can't seem to move my left shoulder as I will. I twisted and moved every part of my body I could to aim the rifle with only one arm, but I guess that wasn't enough to mitigate the gun's recoil. No, lights off! No vocals! Okay. I twisted and moved every part of my body I could to aim the rifle with only one arm, but I guess that wasn't enough to mitigate the gun's recoil. My left shoulder is dislocated, and my right shoulder is gone. I'm completely powerless. Ezra, please carry me on your back. You bet, Detective! Vespa, I want you to exert physical strength on my behalf for a while. I can only take responsibility for you after we finish this job. You shut off Millie? Unfollowed, blocked, reported to the Church of Millie. Listen, vocals interrupt reading time. It's like two different voices at the same time. If you wish. Vespa gave an icy reply. Ezra picked up the smoking pipe on the floor and held me in her arms. Ezra, I asked for a piggyback, not this. It's easier for me to respond to danger in this pose. Can't believe I'm being carried like a bride at this age. Gay. I yielded myself to Ezra's embrace. Yudia was sitting on top of her head before I noticed. Leaving the cellar is going to be a fairly easy task. The floor of the stage we fell from didn't appear to be very solid, and it isn't too high above us, so Ezra and Vespa will be able to easily break the ceiling and secure us an exit. The real problem is what comes after we go up. I'm frankly afraid to imagine what kind of scenery might await us. We traced our way back to where we fell. Yudia closed the door to her workshop and withdrew it. When we opened the steel door again, a heap of rocks were waiting on the other side. The wall of large rocks, crudely and doggedly piled on top of one another, is reminiscent of the townspeople's vehement disregard. Instead of smoking pipe, she should use a smoking pipe bomb. You see, that's a solution if she ever loses her pipe again. Just use a pipe bomb. The exit is right above us, Vespa. Am I to slash open the ceiling? Yes. Vespa brandished his blade without asking further. After a few trails of yellow light flashed in the air, the stage floor broke down. Ezra smoothly dodges the debris falling from above. We jumped to the ground floor. When we got up, carnage was unfolding before our eyes. The polychromatic scene stimulates and overwhelms my mind. A hellish landscape we can do nothing to fix. This might be one of the 5 most detestable sceneries I've seen in my life. Right. This is what is destined to happen when distortions are entwined with each other. This is what happens when distortions have sex? This is not like what happened in the cellar. While the distortions I faced down below were akin to people with multiple heads, each asserting their own thoughts. The ones here are independent beings, expressing their unadulterated desires. I should have known that better than anyone, yet I was oblivious to the fact. No, I merely buried it in the back of my mind, not wanting to bring it up again. Dr. Moses, I regret to inform you that I am not capable enough to control this situation, Vespa said in a low-pitched voice. Detective Moses, the situation here looks worse than in the basement? Edie said, hiding on the back of Ezra's head. I can hear Ezra gulp from nervousness. The distortions, each different from the rest, are killing each other in their unique ways. The strong harass and tear into the weak, as if to flaunt and demonstrate their powers. The scenery is the truest manifestation of the town's collective mind that had been suppressed until now. A glaring variety of colorful distortions grapple and rip one another. This is what I would call the festival of the town. Can I really manage to save one of them? Noticing our presence, some of the distortions turn to us and fix their gazes. A white-furred beast in the shape of an ape that has no eyes. Yo, is that the dude from Ape Escape? A red tetrahedron with 8 eyes. A yellow mantis with the head of a lion. I sense hostility from those 3 enemies. I fucking love Spectre! I had like a huge crush on Spectre when I was a kid. That's huh? What?
What more context do I need to amend to that statement?
Is there an Ape Escape novel? I don't think there is. I know they made a TV show. 2 of them. One in Japan, one on Nickelodeon for some reason, and it was shitty. I hope so. Yeah, let's read the Ape Escape novel, where they capture monkeys. Vespa and Ezra will be able to handle the ape and the mantis somehow. This really is like Ape Escape. The tetrahedron, on the other hand, my pipe will be needed. I closed my eyes and I made up my mind. Elio, what male character didn't you have a crush on when you were a wee little bun?
Customer?
I don't know why I thought it said customer.
I don't know why you read half the things the way you read them.
I don't know. I got the same stuff Moggy has. I have dyslexia. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like male characters that I did not like as a child that aren't like obvious, like anyone would not like. Elio's in pure customer service mode. Shared brain cell. I guess I did get crushes on everyone. Why is dyslexia getting spread? It's a disease, don't you know? Ezra, put the pipe in my mouth, please. Yes, detective! I have to save at least one of these distortions. The choice I made in the cellar will be pointless otherwise. Ezra placed the pipe to my lips as I asked. I let out a deep, pale breath. It's the sensation of life force leaving the body. This breath is beautiful, for it's respired at the cost of life. A translucent turquoise powder taking on the hue of appetite scattered over the town hall. Casting a blue glow, the powder adheres to the distortions. They begin to slow down not long after. This is a powder of death. It brings the living closer to mortality. Death signifies silence and cessation. All living beings are brought to a stop. Yeah, that's pale damage for you. Project Moon. The only no. Lungs aren't big enough to exhale a breath that can stall this many distortions at once. Still, it'll earn me some time to confront at least one distortion. Even if I can only save one of them. I must do what I can. Damn it. This might very well be my last breath. Detective! You promised not to use that breath! Ezra blew a gasket. I ignored her furious scolding. Yay, pale damage. Also, I'm just gonna yeah, thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that, it's just... Yeah. Don't want to talk about that stuff. That's fine. Okay, cool. Vespa, don't strike the distortions until they attack first. I'm afraid I won't be able to obey that, Dr. Moses. Vespa reaches for the hilt of his sword. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, Twy! Thank you for taking a moment.
Ooh.
What's up?
Nothing, keep going. Okay, we're not... I'm going to refund you because we're not doing that. I feel like that should be obvious to the extent that I shouldn't refund you, but I will.
Yeah, imagine dwarf reading in Japanese. I don't think you even know Japanese, huh?
Why the fuck would I know Japanese?
It appeared that his patience has reached its limit. Yet, I thought I could reason with this young man to an extent. Ping! A blast similar to the explosion of a firework was heard from outside the town hall. And footfalls rumbled the ground at the same time. I can hear the steps of multiple people, all wearing shoes. Familiar footsteps I've heard in the past. A group of people in black long coats and golden masks adorned with a single symbol of an eye storm into the building. Is this fucking... Ujat? Fixers under Diaz's immediate supervision. Ujat, I was right! I should have read a bit ahead. They form a dark wave as they wield their scimitars and ruthlessly charge into the distortions. So, that's how it is. Dwarf, just say Tokyo, and every Japanese person will say Nihongo jouzu desu ne. Ujat mentioned. The distortions, rendered immobile by the pale breath, are helplessly incapacitated one by one. Sorry, I was cleaning my glasses there. Please forgive our abruptness, Dr. Moses. And I must say, you didn't disappoint. I knew I could trust you to subdue the distortions of this town without unnecessary casualty. Han Hee-jun walked towards us from the town hall's entrance. This request wasn't issued by the Seven Association. Oh, they wield scimitars. Yeah, interesting. Han Hee-jun. He once again serves as Diaz's obedient little lapdog. He always has. I'm a hypocrite. Once again, I couldn't save anyone. Our party and Vespa were moved to a corner of the town square where we sat down to lick our wounds. Ujat, the private military force under Diaz's... Is it Diaz or Diaz? I assume...
Diaz.
Diaz? Okay.
Also, I don't know how the fuck they use scimitars considering they are primarily blunt damage.
Maybe it's like a different division are the ones that do the blunt damage. When we sorted out the town situation, they cage the distortions and make assiduous preparations to transport them, as well as treating our injuries with great care. Ezra won't say a word. She still seems upset about me using the pale breath. Then Han Hee-jun approached us. Diaz like Ozman Diaz? Diaz? Okay. Dr. Moses, have this cup of warm tea as you rest. What is Diaz planning to do with the distortions? How can I possibly grasp what's on her mind? Anyway, I didn't expect you to be with Vespa Crabro, the taboo hunter of Encore. I can't get out that last name, Crabro. Is he that famous? No,
It's a genus of wasps.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yes.
No wonder he looks like a bee. Sounds like Crab Bro, though. Those in the know are familiar with him. I work for Seven Association, you know. Ezra and Vespa are sitting next to me, still keeping their mouths shut. And I brought news for you, Vespa Crabro, sir. Is there any sincerity in a thing Han Hee-jun says? He knows everything he needs to know. Even the fact that Vespa will be with us. What is it? Han Hee-jun handed an envelope over to Vespa. He opened it and took out the letter inside, shortly before crumpling it and throwing it to the ground. Quick, turn Vespa into a crab! Actually, I'll do it myself. Okay, Carmen. Han Hee-jun, give this poor fellow his shirt or any clothing to put on. It's embarrassing to look at you now. The jacket and shirt Vespa was wearing had been torn to rags after repeated battle. As you wish, Dr. Moses. Han Hee-jun beckoned his finger to an Ujat, who brought him a white dress shirt. I'll invite you and your company to Lady Diaz's place once this has been tidied up. Let me ask you something, Han Hee-jun. What is it, Dr. Moses? Is it fun to mess around sitting on top of my head? It's not very pleasant, to be honest. After saying goodbye, Han left us and walked up to the site of apprehension for the distortions. I hear that you can see the distortion from people. Looking at me, Vespa asked. Yes, I answered, smoking a cigarette with my patched up left hand. Then tell me, Dr. Moses, what do you see from me right now? I see the tattered wings of a bee on your back. Vespa has been expelled from Encore. So that's what that image meant, expulsion. Damn. The expulsion was so bad on him that he changed his hair from being mere salt to Yisong hair. Tragic. Alright. Now I get to have a break.
That is true. One second, let me get a drink. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Alright. We're in Han Hee-jun's car, driving down the road. Ujat's vehicles follow us, loaded with the distortions they've captured. The atmosphere in the car is comparable to that of a funeral. No one dares to speak first. Only Ezra is being fidgety, struggling to withstand this mood. She's not one to break the silence, though. Where are we headed? It was Vespa. He opened his mouth and spoke in a raspy voice. You have been invited. You'll be able to give your tired and injured bodies a much-needed rest here, Han Hee-jun answered. We're headed to Diaz's place, I bet. This is awful. I can already picture what will happen once we arrive in my head. Right now I have no choice but to play into her hands. So have we passed her little test? Yes, my personal impression is that your way of handling matters and the results it produces are as excellent as I thought, Dr. Moses. I'm certain Milady will think likewise. Sure she will. Driving along curvy roads, we've arrived at a mansion lit with fanciful lights. A backstreet's inhabitant could never dream to earn a tiny room in a house like this, even if they worked their tail off for their entire life. To add insult to injury, this isn't a house where Diaz permanently resides. It's a vacation home. A place as significant to her as a pair of shoes stored in the corner of a closet that may or may not be worn someday. Probably owns at least one mansion like this in every nest.
Jeez.
After we step out of the car, Han Hee-jun leads the way for us. Before long, Diaz came running to me with open arms and hugged me. Moses, sweetheart, you must have taken great pains to get your job done. Good work, darling. I see you're still having fun playing with me like a puppet on a string. Don't be so cold about it. I know you could do a wonderful job handling it. Right, Hee-jun? Yes, indeed. A sudden growl interrupts the conversation. Ezra's belly is such an honest alarm. Sorry. Oh, Ezra, I knew you were starving, you poor baby girl. I prepared a ton of rare dishes for you. Come on, let's eat together. Can this sassy boy clad in yellow dine as well? I asked, pointing at Vespa. Diaz answered in a completely apathetic tone.
She doesn't like men.
More than 100 kinds of dishes are placed on the long dinner table, and only 6 people sit around this table. That means most of this food will go to waste. Each plate of food on this table probably costs as much as a house in a residential area of the backstreets. In that sense, could this meal be considered extravagant? Such a description only applies to consumption beyond one's means. Diaz could easily afford this and more. To her, this meal would be the equivalent of purchasing a sandwich at your local Hum Hum Pong Pong.
I love Diaz so much. Diaz is so funny. She's great. Hum Pum Pong mentioned.
I'm sure you set up that scheme because there's something you want me to do. Cut to the chase, will you? Can you go to Elcor's nest? Diaz says with a merry smile. Are you referring to Lobotomy Corporation, a wing that recently fell? Vespa said impassively. Diaz replied to him without so much as giving a glance in his direction. You still haven't done away with that dream, huh? Of course not. I'm a girl with many dreams, you know. Isn't that right, Ezria? Yeah. Alcor. Once again, I set out for a fallen nest. This is the first time I'm making a journey to such a place since the Smoke War. Brings back several memories. The night is long, Moses. Let me tell you about all the favors I want to ask of you, taking all the time we need. Well, for wing's sake. Translation notes. No, we are not sneaking Hong Pong Pong product placements into the English text. Mr. Jihoon has included them in the original dialogue.
I like how they had to make a note of that. The truth is, Hum Hum Pong Pong is an abnormality and the final boss of Limbus Company. I could see that happening. I haven't been saying Hum Hum Pong Pong as much in Limbus. That's because they're setting up for it.
Wow, that was a really short one.
Yeah. Let's see.
You fucked idiot.
Are you proposing that I work for you like I used to? I won't ask you to be an Urchat, no. I'd like to hire Miss Moses as the Distortion Detective. The fallen nest of Elcor has now likely become a battlefield for numerous syndicates and fixers. What can the Distortion Detective do in the midst of such strife fought with cold weapons? Aw, Ezra, it's so nice to see you enjoy your meal, Diaz said with a smile in her eyes. Ezra is conscious of Dia's attention, but she still hastily fills her stomach with the food on the table. What's more astonishing was the speed at which Vespa consumed his share. It almost looks as if he were inhaling food, rather than dining like one normally would. Well, I would assume he has not eaten very much, considering the events that happened before this.
I can't do it. I don't have the skills. I wanted to make my Fugi Vespa, but then have the talking sprite be Vespa with a suspiciously arm-shaped lump in his throat, but I couldn't do it.
That would be so funny. Vespa doesn't have taste buds. Perhaps my prediction was incorrect. Maybe there won't be any food left to go to waste. Leaving the two to their meal, I continued the conversation with Diaz. Diaz, you seem to be interested in capturing distortions alive. Mm-hmm, that's right. Are you trying to fulfill your dreams by using them? Half right, half wrong. No joke, I feel like you could 100% sell your taste buds in Encore. Really? Diaz never lies. She won't tell the full truth either. It's the kind of fellow she was. She set a clear limit on how much she's willing to share. Will we find larger numbers of distortions to capture in Elcor's nest? Or is there a particular distortion you're keeping an eye on in that place? Do you have any idea what's going on in Nest L right now, sweetheart? Diaz gives me a poignant stare, pulling her eyebrows together. What an abominable look. Lady Diaz, may I have the pleasure of explaining this part to her? Han Hee-jun butts in. Okay, I'll leave it to you, Hee-jun. I'm a total klutz at exposition. Han Hee-jun looked into my eyes as if to seek my non-verbal agreement before giving the brief. Elcor's nest is currently under a shroud of fog. It is of unknown origin. A shroud of fog. Another resemblance to the Smoke War. The situation isn't quite like the Smoke War. This fog simply hinders any attempts to observe by obstructing vision. Anyone who enters ends up getting lost. Yaz is holding back her villain monologue for the right moment. Still, I imagine quite the bloodshed is going on in the nest. Since all villains get that legendary action once, yeah, she's gotta wait until later on in the story. As you suspect, syndicates and fixers are murdering one another at that place. Because it's a tempting opportunity to make a fortune. You would be correct. Have the fingers stuck into the metaphorical pie as well? The thumb and the index have made a move. The index of all things. That's a bugger. So, what is the reason you're sending me into that war zone? I'm not seeing how any of that is relevant to the distortion. Diaz glances at me with one eye open, taking a sip of tea. There has been an extraordinary number of reports that are thought to be cases of the distortion in that nest. Didn't you say it's impossible to observe things in there? The fog merely makes it difficult to navigate your way in the nest. We do acquire clear reports of what people encounter within the foggy nest. You want us to capture distortions alive from there? That is correct. And there's more. We want the distortion in a more complete form. Let the distortion progress further, foster it if necessary. Stir people's minds even more? How far does it have to go? Doctor, are you familiar with the term abnormality? Abnormality? No, never heard of it. In that case, I'll leave it up to your judgment. I'm only a fixer that resolves distortions. That makes you the most adequate person for the task of neutralizing them. So what, they want to turn distortions into abnormalities? Is that it? Don't answer me. Fine. What comes next? Tell Ezra to carry the distortion on her shoulder? Startled, Ezra paused her busy hands and shook her head while looking me in the eye. Ujat will come to pick it up when you do. How convenient. Are they going to accompany us or something? Do you need the support of Ujat? Nope. I hate traveling in crowds. I figured you'd say so. If one is prone to getting lost within the nest... Oh, what was that? Heard like a machine blaring. If one is prone to getting... Oh, that's a car. That's a car. If one... Can you stop interrupting me, car? Thank you. If one is prone to getting lost within the nest and surveillance over distance is out of the question, how are they going to find us? Vroom vroom. Caron! Diaz smiled and gave me a well-packaged box as though she were waiting for me to bring up the issue. Here, a gift for my dear Moses. It's a prosthetic arm. A one-of-a-kind arm. You won't find anything like it in the city. I spent tons of money on this. It's extremely unusual for Diaz to consider any expenditure large. Whatever this thing is, it must be a work of insanity. With this arm equipped, Ujat will be able to locate you. You can also communicate with me. That means I'll have to listen to your Saudi voice wherever I am. Which means that this thing is a shackle. Heavy fetters attached to my ankles that won't let me escape her notice no matter where I go. How many distortions do you want captured? Until I'm satisfied. I'm holding back my boiling urge to punch that face. Yes, you are to secure distortions until Lady Diaz is satisfied by the amount and... Do you remember the black box you saw in Tai Young Produce Co? Yes. That box was procured from Elcor's nest. You're telling me to find and bring more of those boxes as well? The black box that generated distortions. Diaz collects distortions and plans to create them herself. So that's how it is. With the technology in her hands, she might be able to achieve whatever filthy dream she has. And why should I take this job? Because this might be your chance to atone for your past, Doctor. I took out my smoking pipe and bit it in my mouth. Oh wait, where am I going? Please remain calm. I'm saying this sincerely. I puffed out smoke. Dr. Moses, please refrain from smoking at the dinner table. Vespa scowled at me and grouched in a deep voice. I don't mind it. Don't give him any attention and smoke all you want, Moses dear. Diaz retorted right away. Didn't we see one of those black boxes in the Yield Thy Flesh to Claim Their Bones event? Did we? God, that was a bit ago that I can't remember. I internally let out a deep sigh and put the pipe back in my pocket. We'd like you to lend a hand as well, Vespa, sir. Why's that? Because you might be reinstated in the wing with Milady's help. I got that silence as a tone of agreement. Okay, let's say this whole deal makes sense. Where do you want us to begin? We have multiple candidates. Laundry of Dreams, the Human Thunderbolt, the Library, yo! Yesterday's Promise, the 8 o'clock Circus, yo! The Church of Gears, yo! Man-eating sand. I assume that's, God, what was her name? Greta, or whatever? Shark Lady? Oh, that's enough. All ungraceful names. That's how the Dissociation usually designates names for cases. I'll start with the Laundry of Dreams. Its grade? Urban Legend. An urban legend should be a good exercise. The Library is an urban legend as well. What'd you think about that one? I don't get good vibes out of it. Can you imagine Moses walking in while you're just at urban legend? Fuck.
Moses? That's not the problem. Vespa would fucking kill everybody in there, though.
Yeah, true! Oh, mentioned by O's. Why? Okay.
Yeah, Greta's just the 8th chef. That's it.
Okay. Let's see. Understood. I'll be taking off tomorrow. What? But Moses, I wouldn't mind if you stayed here and played with me for a week or so. I left her behind and headed outside. Had a scare thinking my fridge stopped working after being gone for a few days and that all the chicken in my freezer had gone bad. Luckily it did not. Oh jeez. How's it going for y'all? It's going alright. We're just reading. How you doing? Yeah, she's one of the 8 chefs. She ate the rest of the 7. Man, they got a lot of cannibals.
I don't know if she did. Like, they all ate each other. They self-cannibalizing her. I was like, well, that's stupid. She just laughed.
Enjoy a bit of solitude on the terrace, smoking from my pipe. It's quite a contrast to the scenery I usually see from my office. The yard of this mansion seems endless. Beautiful lights illuminate the vast garden. Why do I get the long-ass chapter? Dwarf got like a really short one. Detective, are you really gonna be alright? I think it was just them self-cannibalizing, yeah? Greta goes, this is stupid as hell, and laughed. Ezra came to my side and asked, have you mellowed out, Ezra? Yeah, I get it. That was the only option you had, but promise not to use that pale breath ever again. For real this time. I know what it does. If you use that power, your lifespan gets... Ezra, I know that better than anyone. Of course I value my own life. I made that choice to use it so we could survive. I guess it could be either way. It's not narrated reliably from the people talking about the other 7 chefs, and Greta is mildly insane. Okay. Go to bed now. I've got work to do tomorrow. Detective, about the atonement thing Heijun Seonde mentioned, are you really going to do it? Yes. The morning draws on. I equipped the prosthetic arm Diaz gave me and prepared myself for the trip. Han Hee-jun is waiting for us at the garden entrance, next to a black van. Vespa and Ezra are loading the boot of the van with various gadgets. I placed my pipe in my mouth. Lady Diaz departed for dawn for someplace else. She wanted to say her apologies for not giving you a proper farewell. Right. I puffed out smoke from the pipe. And Miss Yuria, there's no need to pose as a normal teddy bear in front of me. Han Hee-jun quietly spoke to Yuria, who was sitting on my shoulder. The plush doll flinched a little. Ojot will set up an outpost near Nest L. We may head into the nest first. Guess we'll have to go by car with Ezra as our driver. Maybe I should bring sickness pills. I'll take the wheel. Vespa showed up from behind and walked towards the driver's seat. Are you a good driver? You won't be disappointed. I got in the van with a bitter smile. This pitiful young man has become yet another toy in Diaz's hands. Doctor, I will be contacting you later. I gestured at him to sod off. Soon afterwards, the van's engine roared to life as it began to move. It's the beginning of another damn journey. This better not be another short one.
Yeah, but what if it is?
No!
And look at the scroll bar. Ooh, this is a pretty thick scroll bar. I don't know.
No!
This? Okay. The ride is surprisingly comfortable. Vespa was right in that I wouldn't be disappointed in his driving skills. A good vehicle has met an excellent driver. We're quietly driving along the highway leading into Elcor's nest. In the back seat, I open the envelope Han Hijun gave me. It's a brief report on the nest and the laundry of dreams. The Distortion is located in the back streets of Nestel, situated in the southern part of the city. The nest is currently covered in a veil of fog due to the fall of Lobotomy Corporation, the Wing. Its nest is doomed to collapse as a result. No wing falls with grace. They leave a permanent scar on the city before crumbling to dust. In the case of this Elcor, that would be the fog. They say everyone loses their way in that fog and that a variety of syndicates and fixers in the nest are drawing their weapons against one another. To think the Distortion is rampant in this chaos will be akin to a battlefield for sure. Skipping past the tidbits of info on the Misty Nest, I skimmed through the report on the Laundry of Dreams. It was degraded from an urban plague to urban legend. According to the report, it was initially designated as an urban plague after wiping out an entire office of fixers, but it has since stepped down a grade as it did not cause any notable events afterwards. So, what is the task we're supposed to take care of? Vespa asked from the driver's seat, his eyes facing forward. I was just about to read over that part. An ordinary coin up on the outside. Oh wait. An ordinary coin up on the outside, but after you use it, you come out a completely different person. Yuria read the report from the top of my shoulder. Detective, is this going to be a location-type distortion like the mock exam one? Ezra turned her head and from the passenger seat. Are you referring to some kind of test? Vespa spoke, his gaze still fixed on the road ahead. Ezra, tell him about the classifications we established while doing our detective work. Got it. Ezra rummaged through her bag for a notebook. It has a yellow cover plastered with stickers, a glaring hallmark of Ezra's possessions. She riffles the pages until she puts a finger on a certain page as if she spotted something. Let this senior give Yuria the protege and Vespa the baby bee of the team a lecture on the Distortion. I could see a vein pop out between Vespa's brows right as she said that. Ezra studies his face for a moment, then continues her lesson. It's some high-quality intel organized by Detective Moses and her capable sidekick Ezra, all based on the experience of working as the Distortion detective. As you all know, our mentor Moses can see the Distortion. Distortion is the name given to the phenomenon by the HANA Association. According to the data registered to the Association database... Wait, there we go. It's a phenomenon where people would suddenly transform and take monstrous shapes. I heard about the phenomenon in relation to the pianist case of District 9. I don't know who's here, sorry. Yep, you two are on the right track. Before I knew it, the drive turned into a little class. However, our mentor and Detective Moses thinks there's more to the Distortion than just people turning into monsters. She sees the Distortion as a person's mind bursting forth into something tangible. And the detective can see the Distortion... Well, no, that's Yuria. And the detective can see the Distortion before it actually manifests. See, here's the problem. I'm gonna rant. Sorry, I'm ranting. 1 second.
Go right ahead. It's hard.
There are 4 characters, and 2 of them are like both in. They're like in pairs of the same vibe, right? Like Moses and Ezra are both. Moses and Vespa are like fucking grumpy bitches, and the other 2 are bubbly bitches. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, they need to at least, I don't know, have some indication of who's talking, like Ezra said, or like, you know, instead of it just being dialogue. Like, I don't know, you can maybe have like a descriptor of like what they're doing, like some movements in the car, like Ezra put her hands behind her head as she spoke, or stuff like that to give some indications if the dialogue isn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Hit me with the OG something awful screenshot LP like short form where you see the characters' portraits next to the speech. That would be nice.
Gently
Anyway,
caress.
yeah, I didn't want to fuck with the redeems because, like I said, half of them had already been broken anyway. I was just kind of, just refunding or threatening to not refund because it should be obvious that we're not going to start reading this shit in Japanese.
Yeah, Higurashi and Ame Neko has that problem too because unlike normal visual novels where you can kind of see their sprites, like you can see the sprites, but it has like a solid wall of text that goes over them, so sometimes you just can't tell who's talking. Yeah, at least there were visual indications.
Damn
for
it.
that.
Sorry, hold on.
It's okay. No worries. Yeah, better safe than sorry, Dwarf, yeah. Yeah, I still haven't fixed everything for my model. I fixed stuff for my Rose model, which is why I'm using it right now.
Sorry, to get up 5 seconds.
It's okay. No worries.
Oh, I'm gonna tell these people that I'm gonna be bidding him.
First on his way to go kill someone. Yeah, I still gotta fix my formal wear model one, and then after that I'll be fixing the bonk redeems, and then fixing the color palettes. Mitsuko fucked your shit up hardcore, and it's honestly really funny in hindsight. Yeah, it's really funny, but also it really sucks how much it set me back with having to get shit set up. At least now I don't have to take too long getting ready for stream anymore, because I don't need to boot up all my programs. But still, it's not as fun, because you can't like bonk me. You can't bonk me, you can't change my colors or anything. Haha, bonkus. Oh, by the way. What do you think the next... I've been on Blue Sky for like 10 minutes and I already like it more than Twitter. Yeah, I quit Twitter. I quit Twitter.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. We're just talking about Blue Sky. It seems a lot more positive than Twitter. There seems to be a lot less bitches getting in fights constantly. So I just saw you followed me, so I will follow you. Farm.
It's slower, but like, I like that, because like, fucking... I mean, I could be following more people, whatever, who cares? Anyway, gonna keep going. Detective can see the distortion before it actually manifests. I said that, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how our office can solve cases before the distortion fully manifests. Is it up to Moses to determine whether a case of the distortion is fully manifested? It's Detective Moses, little Junior Vespa. Vespa pops another vein on his forehead. Is it up to Detective Moses to determine the severity? Yep! She's classified different types of distortions in the stages of progression. Every distortion has a cause behind it. From that, we can connect the dots to explain how the cause was responsible for the person distorted. Next, we give the explanation to the subject in a way that they can accept. If they do, we can resolve the case before the distortion manifests. Can the same be done to cases of the distortion that already have manifested? Vespa turns his head towards me and asked. To that, I quietly answered, depends on these progress and category. I updated my knowledge on the distortion after the recent series of events. I want you to pay attention to this one, Ezra. Yes, Detective? Ezra turned to a new page and picked up a pen. Chords.
You all good?
I needed to move something.
It's all good.
Until recently, I only categorized distortions by type, but I've included severity in my newest classification system. Incubation period, early stage, middle stage, and terminal stage. It's like the staging of a disease. Yuria made a snarky remark. It's not wrong, however. To me, the distortion is a disease. Most people's distortions are in the incubation period. As you're all aware, I can see the distortion before it manifests. Thus, I decided to title the earliest stage where the distortion becomes visible to me as the incubation period. I'd like to know the severity of the bee's wings you can see from me. In my opinion, your distortion is at an early stage, although I'm speaking from my subjective point of view. From what I can see, distortions in the incubation periods are mostly fragmentary. An early-stage distortion is still minor, but it assumes a definite form. And I can feel the early symptoms of it. An example of it is the fact that I can feel the breeze generated by the beats of your wings, Vespa. No one else here would be able to sense it. Only I can see and perceive it. This is what I classify as an early symptom. If it's something only you can feel, it must have been a useful ability for you to find and resolve distortions. I think so too, but sometimes it makes me feel unwanted sensations and pain no one else could feel. A rumble. The car shook a little. We came off the highway and entered a narrow road towards Elcor's nest. A thin veil of mist obscures the view out the window. The time is 1 p.m. Sunlight scatters and shimmers in the mist. We'll listen to the rest of the explanation later. A group of a dozen or two people are blocking the way. Are they fixers or syndicate members that seized hold of the area? I want to avoid unnecessary conflict if possible. Vesper stopped the car. A group approaches us. Knock, knock, knock. One of them raps the car window. Vesper lowered it in response. On a little family trip, are ya? A woman puts her arm on the windowsill and asks in a serious manner. She has Irizumi tattooed on her arms. In her other hand is a cigarette. The Irizumi on her arms is no doubt an augmentation tattoo. People carrying katanas at the girdle stand in front of the car, staring at us with their arms crossed. What's your business? Vespa inquired with his eyes closed, not even giving a second of a glance at the woman. Ezra has her hand over her dimensional bag, preparing for combat. It seems we're dealing with a syndicate. You're about to enter the Kurakumo clan's territory, you see. You're gonna have to pay a small toll to pass. Kurakumo clan? I'm unfamiliar with the name. Anyhow, it's interesting to note how syndicates in the southern side of the city tend to be dressed in composed clothes, unlike those in the north. Detective? Ezra, just give them what they want.
Wait, how is Kurakumo composed? They're like showing off their titties.
Well, if you look at some of the northern IDs that we've been seeing this season, or I guess these guys are west. We've seen some concept art of like northern fixers. They're usually bundled up more, and if the most of the guys down here in south, they just kind of like they just dress and drip. Like if you remember, if the Saya's got like a kimono on and like Jin and the other guy have like just nice clothes.
I guess that makes sense, yeah. I guess like the kimono would look composed. But I don't know if I would say the same in comparison to like Devat clothes or whatever. I guess that's just me though.
My assumption is what I mean is hold on, let me get an example. Let's...
The Mitsuko curse. Don't ask a woman her age. Don't ask a man his salary. Don't ask Elliot what happened on October 29th, 2024. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, like my assumption is like when they say compose, they mean like the special clothing that they were getting from like
from the silk spinners.
Yeah, like I assume that when they say compose, like they wear nice clothes because it's all like augmented and fancy.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Whereas you look at like Zwei, the new Zwei Ishmael, she is just in armor. Anyway. We're giving money-hungry scoundrels what they ask for. No matter how high they set the bid, it'll still be well within the budget Diaz gave us. How much do you need? Ezra's face puckered as she asked the syndicate member, reluctant to give away our money. Well... Bewildered by our generous attitude, the syndicate member looked us up and down. 2 million on. It seems Ezra begrudges our money going to them. However, I don't mind the loss as long as it's the only thing we have to give up. There's no reason to take a gamble against a syndicate with unknown power and affiliation just to save money. Ezra took a bundle of cash out of her bag and started counting it. Changed my mind. 10 million. the goon said with a chuckle. Staring down the pile of money must have made them cuckoo. Detective! Give it to them. Okay.
Jeez, how much was the time? Do you remember how much the killing time on tax was? I want to say it was 2
Their
million,
debt?
wasn't it?
Their-
Yeah, the debt. In on.
It was like 2 billion.
Oh, it was
I think.
2 billion. Oh, okay. I was gonna be like, this is more than the time tax, but no, it's not.
Sorry.
Okay, it was 2 billion. Okay, it's nowhere close to that then. I thought it was 2 million for some reason.
I'm looking. I think it's even higher than that.
Listen, Barn, I have the dot hack manga open because I'm doing that after Distortion Detective. So I wanted to make sure I was on the right page.
Sorry, it looks to be about 10 billion.
Jeez. God.
I mean, there was some unprecedented time bullshit there, so it makes sense. Ezra passed the 10 million on through the driver's side window. Meanwhile, Vespa remains perfectly still, his eyes shut. I can see that this syndicate has some experience, considering they didn't go as far as demanding every coin from us. Rookies tend to keep raising the stakes until it bites them in the ankle. On the other hand, the more experienced ones assess the opponent's capacity and stop at an acceptable price. Alright, be on your way. And cutie, you can have this. Ezra was handed a black plastic plate. It's a pass. That thing should let you freely get through any area under Kurokumo clan's rules. I'm Yuri, one of the vice captains of the Kurokumo clan.
You can't have 2 girls named Yuri.
You know, hold on, I gotta change the voice. You know, I like you gals. Why don't you tell my name when you drop by the bar for a drink? I'll pay the tab for you. Even though this is... I'm assuming that... Yeah, whatever, I'm doing it anyway. It said goon, and she said duh, so she's a goon now. Sorry, boss. That was resolved smoothly. Have a happy, sappy little family trip. Vice Captain Yuri ground her cigarette on the side mirror of our vehicle.
I can't believe Yuri lost her job at Lobotomy Corporation and then became a fucking Kurokumo clan captain.
Yeah, it can be, but it said woman.
Yeah,
Either way, gender doesn't matter when you're dead. Vice Captain Yuri, her head was gone in the blink of an eye.
Yuri Mirror ID. She gay too. She was hitting on Ezra. She was calling her cutie.
Oh, Vespa. Vespa's fist cleanly removed the vice captain's head from her body with a single thrust. He calmly steps out of the car and cleans the cigarette ash off the side mirror. The unexpected event left everyone quiet. Vespa proceeded to grab his Huando from the side of the driver's seat and charge into the group of thugs. Amidst the thin fog, flashes of yellow light shined, followed by spurts of blood. Another moment of silence passed. Vespa returned to the driver's seat.
Yuri x Yuri, let's go.
The next time you want to cause a pointless bloodshed, you'll do it over my cold, dead body. I said, placing a hand on my forehead. I'll try not to. Vespa grabbed the wheel and started driving. Punched her head off.
Yeah, what the fuck, Vespa?
He likes his car.
Homophobic. You said you weren't a big fan of killing, yet now you've got blood on your blade. I didn't kill them because I wanted to. It was simply retribution for what they had done. And what gives you the right to decide who gets to live or die? Oh, Vespa! Laugh track and Seinfeld theme plays. There was a mound of severed heads behind them. I suspect those belong to the people who couldn't afford the toll. What a hero you've become. Have to follow every order I make if you want to receive Diaz's aid to get your job back. If our mission ends in failure because of your imprudent behavior, Vespa, you'd better forget about returning to Encore, because Diaz will sink you to rock bottom and ensure that you spend the rest of your life in misery. I will keep that in mind. Vespa replied as he slowly closed his eyes. Ezra sits next to him, seemingly lost in thought, and fiddling with a plate Vice Captain Yuri gave her. Beneath her feet are bundles of cash that amount to 10 million on, hurriedly collected back from the dead syndicate members. The bills have smidgens of blood on them, but there should be no problem using it. Detective! Maybe we can still use this plate? Ezra turned to me and asked. There won't be any problem using it to pass through turf under the Kurokumo clan, of course. I don't think there's anyone that could figure out who killed Vice Captain Yuri. No, that's not what I meant! Could I get free drinks with this? So that's what she was looking forward to. When there's alcohol, there's usually snack. It's little wonder that she's showing interest. Ezra, you can eat anything you want, alcohol or whatever. With the money Diaz gave us, we may very well order food that has never existed before. Vespa's ears twitched slightly. Young man is quite a hearty eater, isn't he? The way to Vespa's heart is through food. Give me that plate. Okay! The word Kurokumokai is written in kanji on the front side of the plate. Ezra wants food more than drink. Yeah, me too! On the back side is handwriting that appears to be the signature of Vice Captain Yuri. This might be handy later on. Ezra's literally Luffy. So, Detective Moses, if I'm not mistaken, the Laundry of Dreams is a location type similar to my atelier? Give her food, she'll die for you. Yuria asked for my shoulder as if the commotion didn't happen. It seems Yuria has gotten a lot less talkative since we started heading for Elcor's nest. Perhaps she has difficulty maintaining the psychomet. I should talk with her about that soon. Could you explain what a location type is, Dr. Moses? Vespa showed interest as well. Ezra scowled at Vespa trying to correct him, and Vespa retaliated with a gaze just as fierce. I can almost see sparks flying from the staring contest. Ezra, I don't care how Vespa refers to me, so don't waste your energy pointing it out every single time. But he's the newest and the youngest member of our office! Vespa's veins pop out of his forehead once again. Don't. Okay. Ezra conceded and I resumed the conversation. Location type distortion is a certain spot being subject to distortion, as the name suggests. But you described the distortion as a phenomenon that individual humans manifest. Are you saying that a person can transform into a location? Precisely. In most cases, it takes the form of a place or building that is unable to move on its own. It's akin to a trap to the average person. You should be mindful of the fact that a location-type distortion is not the same thing as a distortion encroaching upon its surroundings. The stronger the encroaching distortion is, the more warped the area around it gets, Ezra chipped in. Like she said, the distortion can overflow, and a powerful one can influence its surroundings if left uncontrolled. That was the case with the carp, the most recent case of the distortion I solved. It was a child who turned into a giant carp. It would generate a pool of depressive water around it. That's because sadness is most commonly distorted as the form of water, Ezra butted in. Yes, melancholy is like water. Perhaps we could talk about categories for such things at a later date. Anyway, a strong distortion can alter the area around it and become a host to subordinate entities. It's easy to confuse it for a location-type distortion. Gloom damage. Yeah, they're doing sinking. We could publish an encyclopedia of distortions with all that knowledge. Vespa made a sarcastic yet harmless remark. A book. That's funny. I'd be surprised if there's any library that's willing to collect a book like that. You'd be surprised! Yeah, Detective, that sounds so educational and fun! Just as Ezra spoke, the car was slowly brought to a stop. Dr. Moses, I'll need you to tell me the directions from here on out. Looks like we've fully entered Elcor's nest. Glimpses of buildings can be seen in the mist. This nest might have shone brightly once, but now it's sunken in fog. This fog feels quite different from that fume that covered the city during the smoke war. Unlike the smoke that rose to the sky, this mist sinks to the floor like a pool of stagnant water. It's similar to the properties of sorrow we just talked about. Could this be a manifestation of someone's serious melancholy? Yes! Regardless, I'm the only one who can find a way anywhere in this thick veil of mist. Or rather, the prosthetic arm Diaz gave me will figure out a way for us. I scanned the barcode printed on the report of the Laundry of Dreams as instructed. Urban legend case, the Laundry of Dreams. Guiding to the most recent observed site. Turn right 300 meters ahead. A voice came out of the arm. A vocal guide in this day and age? Come to think of it, this may be a more effective method than hologram-based navigations in a fog as thick as this. Vespa, follow the instructions of this voice. The car slowly began moving again. Then Vespa opened his mouth. A man named Han Hee-jun said our work is to capture the Distortion. How are we going to seize the location, if I may ask? We'll shrink it. As I said moments ago, the Distortion will expand and warp its surroundings as it becomes more powerful. In other words, its influence will shrink as we neutralize its power. We'll have to weaken it enough to fit in our hand. Or, at least, the trunk of our van. This van is no ordinary vehicle. The entire cargo compartment is a massive dimensional bag. Since it was provided by Diaz, it should have no problem carrying absurdly large objects. However, distortions are ultimately people. It's not a good idea to store people in a dimensional bag. I have no choice but to hope that Diaz kept that in mind, and that we can load the trunk with distortions anyway. Do we have to go into the so-called location-type distortions ourselves, then? Yes. You said that they are akin to traps. There's a risk that we will be killed as soon as we set foot in there, is there not? Distortions are not weapons of murder. They normally aren't artificial creations with a specific purpose. What they are is a cry for recognition of their mental afflictions. As you suggested, distortions that harbor a murderous intent may try to kill us, but I can tell if a distortion has such designs. That means our lives lie in the hands of your judgment, Dr. Moses. Of course you should. All you gotta do is trust the detective, Biddy Baby Bee. Vespa popped a vein once again. Ezra seemed to be enjoying it at this point. He is gonna punch your head off the moment he can, Ezra. The conversation halted there. Only the mechanical voice of my arm would break the silence. Media is being strangely quiet. When I looked to my left, the red teddy bear was lolling on my shoulder. Her synchronization with the psychoment appears to be unstable, as I suspected. Even if the teddy bear were to stop moving, that wouldn't mean the death of her. Her real body is under the protection of Dongui office, after all. Oh, Dongui! Dongui! Shut the hell up! Dongui!
Get him, everyone get him!
No! Her real body is under the protection of Dongui office, after all. The teddy bear suddenly flinched. Detective Moses, mistake detected. No! Damn it. I see you're having trouble maintaining your psychomet right now. Yeah, my consciousness is fading the deeper we get into this nest, and the thicker the mist goes. Rest up for a while. I'll keep the teddy bear with me. Thank you. I'll take a short nap. To work like a dog. The teddy bear's voice trailed off as its head was lowered. You have arrived at your destination. A large green neon sign was flashing sporadically before us. The bright neon light turned the fog around it green. The Laundry of Dreams. We're there, Dr. Moses? Alright, be prepared, everyone. Ezra took her dimensional bag, and Vespa took his sword and harpoon as we got out of the car. I placed the smoking pipe in my mouth. We walked to the entrance of the laundromat, and I puffed out smoke while I closely observed the exterior of the building. The tobacco smoke scattered in the air and became one with the fog. Now then, Let's retrieve the distortion. We entered the laundry of dreams. Okay. Nice translation note. I'm not gonna read it out loud though. Okay. That's your turn.
My assumption is if it's Dr. Moses, it's probably Vespa.
Mm-mm. Yeah, detective for everyone else.
No, we're down to 3 characters now. It's fine.
Mm.
For the time being, anyway. Okay. How in the hell do you pronounce that word? Sorry, I just saw it. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, you know, I got it. The joints of the glass door creaked as we entered the laundromat, a spacey and aged washateria. That's what I'm going with.
Sounds
Housing
legit.
20... Yeah, like it's like cafeteria, but for washing, I guess. Housing 26 front-load washing machines. Faded fluorescent lamps shine over embrowned floor tiles. A few bugs buzz away near the light, and an old pop song is playing from the speaker on the ceiling. I assume you deem that this distortion is not a threat to us, seeing that you walked into the place willingly, Dr. Moses. Vespa spoke, scanning the surroundings with his eyes. Ezra is watching something in front of the washing machines. A grade 3 fixer and their colleagues fell victim here. An office was annihilated and people went missing, right, Detective? Not for long. They were found in another place, as different people altogether. What exactly do you mean when you say they were different people altogether? In the most literal sense. Their appearance stayed the same, but inside they were completely dissimilar from before. No one could recognize who they'd become. Detective, over here! I found a washing machine that's running right now. Ezra waved me over. The machine rattles, laundry tumbling and spinning inside. I placed my smoking pipe in my mouth. Laundry. Surely it won't be anything ordinary. Though it is hard to see what's inside while it's running. Yet it would be a pretty reckless move to forcefully stop the machine. For now, I'll have to observe the place more. Dr. Moses, I see a storage and utility room there. I puffed out smoke and walked to the door Vespa pointed at. Is this laundromat not a self-service facility? If an owner is present, that will make this a different type of distortion from what I expected. The existence of a room dedicated to collecting laundry suggests that the owner of the laundromat manually cleans the clothes customers entrust them. However, I don't see a cash register or any other sort of station that a staff member would work at. Vespa, open that door, and Ezra, look around a little more. Roger! One moment.
What's up?
I said 1 moment. I had to clear my throat.
No problem.
Upon opening the door to the storage room, a refreshing scent of fabric softener wafted out through the air. The sight that unfolded before our eyes, however, was anything but refreshing. This is a butcher's shop. Human skin is suspended up on hangers. I see how it is. I blew out a puff of tobacco smoke. Peel off a human skin and wash their inside clean. That's what this laundry of dreams is, typical of the city. Provocative procedure like skinning humans alive or some such doesn't come as a surprise anymore. The next question is its purpose. I have to wonder, does the act of washing signify purification or does it imply change? I have a feeling that the latter is more likely to be the case. There's desire to become someone else and stand out among the stereotyped city folk. Should be stronger than the desire to get clean at the very least. In a coin op such as this, the act of washing is as simple as putting clothes in the washing machine and inserting a coin. Looking at the human hide that's hung here, it seems the people who visited this place took off their own skin and left it here. When did it happen? Right after entering the laundromat? After inserting a coin? Wouldn't the laundry have to be inside the machine first? Still a hazy mystery. If this space was deceiving people's perceptions, my eyes would have caught the process. I don't see a sign of such illusion yet. I guess I should investigate the washing machines once again. Let's go back out. Detective, I can't get the washing machines to work using ordinary coins. Ezra, you dimwit. Who told you to fiddle with the washing machine? Don't mess with the distortion while I'm not around. Okay. Ezra answered in a dispirited voice. There are several problems when a person who can't see the distortion is involved in solving cases of the distortion. For instance, they might walk into the gaping mouth full of teeth that I can vividly see, or be enticed into doing something not knowing that they're being pulled away by shadowy hands. Thus, it takes a person who can see the various sides of the distortion to aptly handle it. Detective, would it matter if I got a coin from the exchange machine here? I put my hand on my forehead. Ezra is the type to leap into action before putting any thought into it. I gather my thoughts while Ezra acts. To solve a distortion, someone has to be the guinea pig. Still, the curiosity and boldness of this child is quite a challenge to handle now, even for me. Give that to me. Okay. Rumble. With a loud noise, the room trembled up and down. The coin slipped from Ezra's hand while she was trying to pass it over to me. Ezra, grab that coin. Before I could finish that sentence, Ezra swiftly moved her palm below the coin. The thing seemed to land on Ezra's hand, but it won't stop falling. It makes a hole in her hand and reaches the floor, as if it has to. The coin rolls around the floor before it falls down the drain. Clank. Ow. Ezra groaned, holding her punctured right hand. Dr. Moses, look behind you. Son of a bitch. Oh, wait. I was holding shift and hit the arrow key to try and scroll down.
Oh, shit.
Don't do that, I guess.
Yeah.
Following Vespa's words, I turned around. The door to the storage room vanished. A loud mechanical noise came at a distance. Something's already happening. The coin Ezra had acquired couldn't have been dispensed from a vending machine for no reason. Coin exchange machine. Something was traded away for the coin. I held the smoking pipe in my mouth. The space is distorting. Did the ceiling just switch places with the floor? I blew out tobacco smoke. As Vespa noticed, the room is slowly twisting and twirling. Detective, is it just me, or does your body feel icky and stuffy? Ezra's body is slowly being filled with filth that resembles viscous blood. For I can see the distortion. I need quick wits and a good sense. Bleh. I need to be able to tell if what I'm seeing is a sign visible only to me or a manifestation that everyone can perceive. The answer is in experience, and experience tells me that I'm likely the only one that who can see that filth. Detective, do you remember? I was a coward during the war. I won't be forgiven either, right? This topic again. The memories of that day are one of the subjects commonly brought up whenever a distortion evokes Ezra's traumas. The memories of Smoke War. They haunt Ezra and I constantly. I've become an expert at dealing with such trauma thanks to that. The memories will be unbearable to her, and she will cause some kind of trouble as a result. Away with this dirty body! I heard the sound of something being unzipped. The skin of the human we knew as Ezra was stripped off from her head to shoulders, knees, then toes. The side of a person that no one wants to see. It can only be described as a form that I can't dare to look at, a heap of desires. I couldn't stand the sight, so I kept my eyes tight. Ezra. Vespa, keep your eyes closed. I bit into the smoking pipe and exhaled a white breath. The room was filled with mist. Vespa's mind could be affected if he sees her current form. I immediately breathed in and let out a violet breath. I wrapped the violet whip around the silhouette that I think is Ezra. And do your absolute best to stand still. I can't handle two people doing idiotic things at once. Understood. Vespa responded. I got the pattern down. Once the human takes off their skin, they'll put it in one of the washing machines. Then they'll head over to the storage room and wear another person's husk. Wearing the clean and new clothing, they leave the laundromat as a brand new individual. If Ezra reaches that point, there won't be much I can do. I'll be losing her forever. To avoid that, I stopped her in her tracks somehow. Distortions are solved through contradiction. The deeds that are considered natural and mandatory here must be denied and reversed, making the person wear their contaminated shell back before it could be washed. Such action will weaken the distortion of the laundry of dreams. What can we do to make her put her own skin back on, then? Forcefully put it on her? No, she must wear it voluntarily. She has to wear her own shell, knowing that it's still a filthy husk. That's how we can deny this place. This space. Can I not slash it? There's no guarantee that it won't backfire. Destructive measures should be taken as the last resort. That means it's not entirely out of the question. I shall prepare myself in that case. Vespa kept his eyes closed and put his hand on the sheath of his sword. It's a huge relief that he wasn't afflicted with the distortion's influence. I have no clues about Vespa's past or his trauma. Learning of his past will be a process of trial and error, no doubt. The time will come one day, and it will be unavoidable. I'll have to take my time to know him. That is to say, I know well how to handle Ezra after spending much time with her. Tell me, do you think your current self is filthy? I got too much blood on my hands. I'm dirty. I hate myself. I like you for who you are, even if you think it's unclean. Forthright, for the W, God. Forthright without redundancy. I say out exactly what I think of Ezra straight to her. Really? The answer is easy, but it's always an ordeal for me to speak it out. I really do. Ezra is conscious of others' attention, especially mine. I like that side of hers. All things considered, I can't bring myself to hate her. Ezra is my co-worker and subordinate, and it's my responsibility to take care of her. The mass of flesh that is probably Ezra picks up the smelly, filthy husk and wears it once more. The laundromat stops twirling and bending and gradually returns to how it looked before. Soon afterwards, the space begins to shrink. Vespa, get Ezra and shove her the hell out of here. We quickly sprinted towards the door. The cold evening air and the moisture of damp drizzle assailed my nostrils. We managed to escape safely. The laundry of dreams was behind us, reduced to the size of a small toy house. Has the case been resolved? Vespa asked, carrying Ezra on his shoulders. Is it always like this? It wasn't nearly as dramatic as I expected. Didn't even have to help. Only because I knew who I was dealing with. That's why Ezra and I are working together. I placed my pipe in my mouth. This case was tame and simple compared to other recent events. And staying still was a big enough help. If you were in Ezra's shoes, I might not have been able to do anything. Besides, the distortion is ultimately a human affair. Oftentimes, things are covered up and details are glossed over. That sounds like how human relationships go. I puffed out smoke. He's dead on the nail. This is just like solving relationship issues between people. If I try to ignore the root of the issue and turn away from it, it can be ended on an ambiguous note. In this case, I didn't bother to understand the cause or process of the distortion, nor did I try to make the subject understand it, because it's not my business. Because it wasn't necessary. Dr. Moses, if our objective was to solve the distortions rather than capture them, would it be possible to revert that laundromat to a human? It should be. The steps will be more complicated than what we did just now. Are you curious? The distortion is also similar to human relationships in that the problem gets harder to solve if I try to face it directly and bring it to a definite conclusion. And never mind. If it's something I must know, you will elucidate it at some point. I picked up the laundry of dreams and stored it in the trunk. At this size, there's no need to call Uchat to help retrieve it. Vespa laid Ezra on the backseat of the vehicle. Did you two participate in the smoke war? I don't feel like talking about that at the moment. Understood. Vespa took the driver's seat. I shook ash off my smoking pipe and sat in the passenger seat. Then I manipulated my prosthetic arm. Beep beep. On Ji-hoon. Yes, doctor. A detestable, sodded voice comes out of the arm. We've taken care of the laundry of dreams. We're moving on to the case of the human thunderbolt. Looks like you solved the case safe and sound. I'm ending the call. Hold on, Doctor. Did you meddle with the Kurakumo clan by any chance? We did. So he somehow found it out. He sure is a competent informant. He's most certainly going to give me a chewing out for this. The Kurakumo clan. Fucking damn it! The fucking top thing, like the top banner, occasionally scrolls down and gets in my way.
Yeah.
Fast. The Kurakumo clan is a thumb subsidiary. I suggest avoiding conflict with the finger if you wish to complete the mission in... As if I'm some kid that needs his nagging. Beep beep. Thumb is decent compared to the index. At least I won't be talking to a wall. Dr. Moses, are you scared that we might have to face a finger? If we ever happen to confront the thumb, please let me lend my strength. The child has his stories, I see. That's up to me to decide. That's up to me to decide, depending on the situation. Vespa seemed to think for a moment with his eyes closed. All right. The car slowly trudged through the mist.
Okay. See, the human thunderbolt. The difference in scenery between night and day is small here, but I can tell from the gradually sinking halo of light in the foggy sky that it's evening. We seem to be approaching our destination. The car shakes pretty badly, running over some form of object scattered on the road. They're likely corpses. On the way, I read one of the case reports Han Hee-jun gave me. The Human Thunderbolt, Upgraded Urban Plague. It says bolts of lightning will thrash about in the mist when it's present. The Human Thunderbolt leaves completely charred bodies in its wake, emitting a burning smell. Lightning is an electrical phenomenon, thus it's related to hysteria, or neurosis. Sparks fly off and conduct electricity, leaving sharp and tingling wounds on anyone that stands around it. It'll be fast and painful. Dr. Moses, someone is after us. Vespa spoke. I see dark figures running alongside the car through the window. This vehicle most certainly isn't moving at a slow speed. Detective! They pulled out a knife! Ezra shouted. We'll suffer a considerable setback if we lose this car. Diaz gave us this van, so it won't break easily. However, we don't know what the unidentified group is capable of. We have to make a careful choice here. Vespa, can you give them the slip without damaging the car? It won't be an easy feat, I'm afraid. And then we'll stop it right away. The car lurked to a sudden halt, creating a loud noise. The group surrounded the van in an instant. Is it another syndicate like the Kurokumo clan? Whatever they are, they probably won't stand a chance against Ezra and Vespa, and we're less hesitant to get violent after spilling blood here once. Ezra, Vespa, get out of the car. This is different than the Kurokumo clan situation. Now we're in the middle of Elcor's nest, where there are many variables. We have to promptly prepare ourselves for battle. As soon as I got out of the car, a burning stench struck my nose. Might be the supposed trace of the Human Thunderbolt, according to the report. Another particular strong scent stung my nose. It's the acidic smell of tobacco. A smell. Those in the know are familiar with it. Vespa drew his Swando right away. Ezra slipped on Alice workshop gauntlets and cracked her knuckles. The figures in the mist revealed themselves. Oh, are these the smoke guys? The smiling faces, was that what their names were?
Yeah.
The smoke guys? Okay. They're wearing masks of the Hahoe village. The syndicate is characterized by their steel masks grinning from ear to ear. They smoke performance-enhancing narcotics from the gigantic pipes they're carrying. We've run into an urban nightmare-class syndicate while trying to solve an urban plague case. It's not an unlikely occasion. The syndicate started out in the east of the city, but their influence has grown over time, and now they're all over. Blunder smoking? Are you here to eat us? I placed my pipe in my mouth. They can be conversed with at the very least. A moment of silence passed. Detective? Why won't those chatty guys speak at all? Keeping her eyes to the front, Ezra asked me this in a tiny voice. I'm wondering the same thing. They're strangely quiet for how talkative they usually are. There seems to be about 7 of them. That's not a small number. The smiling faces quietly bite their giant smoking pipes, inhaling and exhaling smoke. I blew out smoke at well, yeah, I can do the smoke status effect too, bitch! I got puffy broom too! Their movement is different. They're known for their uncanny ways of acting, but something is particularly odd about this group. They twitch their bodies as if they were wooden puppets, and there are faint sparks of electricity flowing through them. They're coming, Vespa said, puffing out smoke in the mist. The smiling faces commenced running to us. Their massive smoking pipes double as blunt weapons. It also contains a hidden blade sheathed in the bowl of the pipe, sort of like a sword stick. Ezra faced 2 of them charging at us. One of them swung a smoking pipe in a large arc, and she struck the bowl of the pipe with her fist. It made a small dent in the pipe, throwing the attacker off balance. Ow! Detective! My fist hurts so bad! Whining, she accelerated her other hand with the Alice Workshop gauntlet and struck her fist into the chest. The blow sent the opponent flying into a wall. The other one swung a blade at Ezra's arm. I let out a purple breath to slow the blade down. Ezra took out a Nestor hammer in the meanwhile and hit the aggressor on the forehead. Cling! The metallic objects rang as they clashed. The hammer got crumpled from the impact. The mask, on the other hand, is intact. Vespa takes the rest of them on the other side. Yellow traces dance in the air like lightning bugs. Just then, Vespa turned to us and pitched the harpoon he'd been carrying at his waist without hesitation. Whoosh! The harpoon tore through the air and hit the left shoulder of the smiling face standing before Ezra, making them drop their weapon. Ezra immediately took out her Stigma Workshop blade and stabbed it into her opponent. The Stigma blade makes a sizzling sound in their chest. Paying no attention to that piercing injury, the opponent hit her lower jaw with their knee. Those bizarre gestures. The smiling faces are being controlled by something, and the human thunderbolt has to be the culprit, judging from the purple electric discharges flowing through their bodies. Espa and Vespa, I just mixed up their names. Ezra and Vespa aren't overwhelmed by the smiling faces, but they can't seem to gain the upper hand on them either. I drew a deep breath. Seeing how strong and agile they are, the violet whip I usually wield won't even reach them, let alone keep them in place. I let out a deep violet breath. The pipe morphed into thick chains. Ezra, throw that harpoon at me! Ezra pulled the harpoon from the smiling face's shoulder. In that brief moment of vulnerability, one of the smiling faces smacked her in the cheek with a smoking pipe. Pow! Ezra's head was knocked upward, but she managed to stay upright and toss the harpoon. It buzzed in the air, landing at my feet. I tied the violet chain around the tip of the harpoon. Vespa! Vespa recalled the harpoon, right on cue. It was then flung with a roar and nailed on one of the smiling faces straight away. As the harpoon was lodged in them, the chains coiled around their body. Their movement is restrained, much like a ship with its anchor dropped. The harder they struggle to break free, the harder the chains tighten. The squeezing pain around my brain grows worse too. The pain is killing me. My head swims and my mind wavers. However, the change will disappear if I let go of my consciousness. Ezra didn't miss the chance. She threw a low kick at the hindered target. The attack broke their leg, bringing them down to their knees. Then she manifested Psychoment on her other leg and delivered a kick straight to their head. The cranium was smashed along with the mask. Vespa speedily retrieved the harpoon and hurled it at another one. Vespa earns time with the harpoon, and Ezra lands the finishing blow. At a stable pace, the smiling faces are defeated one after another. Before long, Vespa took the head off of the last of them. We somehow made it out alive, Detective! I nodded, putting my pounding head in my hands. Bleh. Dr. Moses, these were not like the ones that I knew. Something seemed to be manipulating them. Oh, was it maybe the puppeteer or something? I walked to one of the decapitated heads of the smiling faces on the ground and removed the mask. A grinning face on a burnt head was all there was underneath it. Light flashed from afar. Krakoom! A crack of thunder followed it shortly afterwards. Suddenly, a stroke of light zipped past us. The light burned the fog in its path. It cleared off mist within a radius of 10 meters. Around 500 corpses were revealed before us, all burnt to a crisp. Detective! Ezra isn't surprised at the sight of the bodies, but rather by what they're doing. Every burnt corpse began to move at the same time, twitching and twisting. Could it be moving the bodies through electric stimuli? There's corpses lying on the road and bodies inside buildings. All the scorched cadavers nearly rise and rush at us. The smiling faces we had just slain also stood up, loudly folding and snapping their bodies. This thing is no urban plague. I placed my hand on my forehead. A purple humanoid form watches us from afar. Purple certainly is an uppity color. Vespa, does the human thunderbolt appear to be frozen in place right now? Vespa carefully squinted at it. It's moving. It's not stationary. The human thunderbolt is moving from place to place to send electric currents, controlling the corpses with the stimuli. The plan is the same. I stop it in its tracks and you cut it down. How much time will you need until then? 10 minutes. Vespa nodded. Let me ask you back. How much will it take for you to do it? A second is all I ask. That's dependable. Vespa will handle the smiling faces in front of us. Meanwhile, the living, swarming corpses appear to be regular citizens. Ezra should be able to fend them off on her own. Ezra, protect me, but don't get yourself killed doing it. Got it! You can count on me, Detective! Woohoo!
Okay, that's short.
Yeah, that was short.
I said this one is short.
Oh, this one's short?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is important. Okay, I see. Neurosis, a spear of stress, harmful radiation, a prison that constricts oneself at the same time, a symptom that exacerbates the more one hurts others. The temperamental cerebral stimuli and irritation are given the physical form of electricity. When that electricity flows through the body, it burns with an uncontrollable wrath. It's not quite explosive, it's sharp, rather. From light proddings to thrusts that create cavities in the mind, neurosis flows through nearby conductors. It changes the atmosphere of one's surroundings. One's hysteria is poured on others. It gives a false impression that it will make things better. However, it only causes one's own mind to smolder and invoke impatience, all the while burning others more severely. This property must be understood. An endless release of irritation and anger, megalomania and victim mentality. It actively moves around, gnawing at those nearby and steering them, and it moves fast. 500 corpses are coming at us. They're mere remains of the deceased. Electric stimuli injected into their brains by the human thunderbolt command them to move in a purely mechanical sense. The speed of light. The human thunderbolt drifts between those 500 people at the greatest possible velocity. They're in essence biological machines that feel no pain or fear. They can't be considered subordinate entities of the distortion either. We have to capture the moment when it jumps from a scorched body to another. The easiest method would be to let out a pale blue breath, the smoke of death and cessation. But this should be the absolute last resort. A violet breath for a violet being. Standard methodology to me. How much can I bind? How much with the heavy guilt given to me? The violet memory that strangles my heart and drags my mind to the bottom. This memory must be dredged up.
Sorry, I was grabbing
I led
soda.
my coat. Huh?
Sorry, I wasn't sure if the noise was audible, but I was grabbing a Pepsi.
Oh, soda, I see.
Yeah. What did you think I was grabbing?
I thought you said Minnesota.
I'm grabbing Minnesota. I'm grabbing the state of Minnesota right now.
I led my co-workers to death that day. The human being named Moses participated in the smoke war as captain of Ujjat.
Oh.
Completing the mission was all I had to do. There was no room for interpretation or mercy in the process. To obey Dias's orders, to obey for her dream, I've stained my hands with so much blood in this life, even the blood of those whom I worked with. What I am bearing are the burdens of others, not mine. This smoking pipe isn't mine, it belongs to them. I hold the pipe and draw in smoke. I close my eyes as I draw in smoke. As I close my eyes, they appear. I have to inhale their memories in agony. I need to find a violet memory among the faint yet intense mass. Memories akin to dark thorns, the eyes and gestures that grudge me, my sense of guilt. My guilt manifests as neurosis. I dislike noise. I dislike talkative people. The sound reminds me of the voices that resent me. The sound reminds me of the battery of the war, and it makes my mind bleed. The small grievances and scornful remarks, exchanges of words full of ire, the barbed words I've carelessly spouted, the days in my life when I pushed someone and drove someone to tears. Had I been kinder, had I been more understanding, I didn't look after my subordinates. My eyes were fixed on Dias. Everything that happened in the process were trivial matters to me. In the city where there is no good or evil, I made a distinction. What Dias wishes for and what she does not. That was the only criterion which severs the good from the bad. So, what made me so desperate? I could hear the cries and screams of my subordinates. I ignored them and went on my way. I shouldn't have turned around that time. Once I looked back, the path of blood I'd been taking was so candidly visible. I couldn't help but cry. Why did I change my mind at the last moment? Why did a sense of altruism for my colleagues bloom so suddenly? I want to give salvation to them, to those who drift in my head. Each time I resolve a case of distortion, their screams go silent one by one, but the quiet doesn't last long. Why did I abandon them? Why did I give them that heartless order, lacking even a speck of what could be thought of as a heart, and then come trying to save them? Why did I push them into the maw of hell? I've been resolving distortions because I couldn't bear to hear those voices blaming me. This is like a narcotic that I cannot quit. As soon as I stop taking the drug that is resolving distortions, the pain begins to constrict around my head again. This is not voluntary service or charity work. It's only a drug I take to ease my guilt. And yet I have the audacity to call myself detective and ask for payment. The requests and clients I declined, all this becomes a cumbersome and hurtful chain that stifles my heart once again. This is the chain I wanted to find. I tighten my grip around my mind. The chain can be brought out if I choke my heart until blood, pus, are utterly wrung out of it. This heavy contrition of mine, the grudges of the 2,142 people I brought to death. However fast and sharp the neurosis of the human thunderbolt may be, it won't be greater than the weight and anguish of the chains I feel deep in my heart. I face the reality that everything I believed to be right was simply a childish attempt of self-satisfaction to cut out my neurosis, humiliation and self-loathing vexation and anger for myself. I squeeze out all of it. I exhaled a violet breath. The smoking pipe turned into a hair-thin and pointed needle. The strand of thread which is held on the eye of the needle links to my chest, as though the thread were reeled from my heart. This is not just a thread, it's a chain, a shackle. We have 30 seconds. Ezra and Vespa are straining every nerve to hold back the horde of burnt corpses. An abundance of bits and pieces of charred bodies are at my feet. One of those bits crawls towards me with the last traces of electrical stimuli remaining in it. I stabbed the heavy and sharp needle into the arm of the crawling corpse. In an instant, my violet neurosis flowed through all the corpses at the speed of light. Every corpse stopped dead at once. The chain moved from body to body and tied them together. The longer the thread becomes, the more my heart bleeds. The sensation of a barbed wire squeezing and crushing my brain. I have to withstand it. Not even a second had passed, but so much physical and mental pain is being inflicted in my body that it could end my life. The powerful buzzing of a bee. The yellow harpoon soared through the air and pierced the human thunderbolt's chest as it paused between corpses. It is done, Dr. Moses. The corpses went limp and collapsed to the ground. Detective, are you okay? Ezra asked, having suffered many injuries herself. I nodded in response. The work is not done yet. The elongated chains of the mind now have to be retracted to where they came. Brooding over the memories and agony, I slowly pulled the chains back into my heart. Ezra is looking at me with worrisome eyes, but it can't be helped. No one can help me with this. I have to do this on my own. This is a lonely, heart-wrenching task. Just as I pulled the final link of the chain into my chest, I fell unconscious. Have you come to your senses yet? A low, grumpy voice woke me up. Guess I didn't die. Did you retrieve the distortion? Yes, Detective. We put it in the van. I see. Thanks for your hard work. For the hard work, both of you. Dr. Moses, we've encountered a problem. What is it? Well, the car stopped working. Oh, well, the car stopped working. It might be because of the electricity, Ezra said in a worrisome tone. We can contact Han Hijun and call the chat over. They'll repair the vehicle for us. My head still feels hazy from using the violet threaded needle. I'm honestly unsure of where I am and what time it is. Still lying on the ground, I pick up the smoking pipe and drew in a breath. Detective, it's nighttime. What hour is it now? It's 3:26 a.m. And our location? Somewhere in the back streets, I think?
Uh-oh, sweepers.
I placed a hand on my head and puffed out smoke. The night in the back streets. It's the time of the sweeper.
Oh shit. Not the sweepers.
Ugh, I need a drink.
Yeah. The back sweep, boys. Oh.
This one's long.
Oh boy. Okay, so this might be our last one then. Look at these. Look at these sweepers. Sweepers come in 3 waves. 3 waves are all we have to endure. Ezra, Vespa, think you can make it through? I actually used up all my strength fighting the human thunderbolt just before. Ezra looked at me with an awkward smile. I reluctantly turned my gaze to Vespa. Dr. Moses, you are currently incapable of combat. It seems Miss Ezra can barely protect herself. So, the conclusion? Impossible. I'll be able to survive 2 waves, I suppose. Yudia's workshop would have been a perfect hiding spot, but she's not up when we need it. I put my smoking pipe in my mouth. Gross noises can be heard from a distance. The sound of the cleaners on the streets. Fierce fights and contemptible murders are a common occurrence in the back streets. All of it is wiped clean by morning. It's thanks to them. The sweepers clean the back streets, which means it's safe outside the back streets. And I tapped my prosthetic arm. Han Hee-jun, The prosthetic arm flashed for a second. Working hard day and night, aren't you, Doctor? Sorry to disturb your sound sleep. Examining your location in the back streets at this time of the night. I'll get to the point. Ujat, can you call them here? If it's to stop the sweepers, I doubt they'll be of any help by the time they arrive. Then let me ask something about this fallen nest. Is the border between the back streets and the nest area still up? I'm sure a war veteran such as yourself knows better than I do. What's the shortest route? 5 kilometers to the west as the crow flies. End the call. The way out of the situation is simple. I've got to get into the nest. A ruined nest is still a nest. Sweepers only clean the back streets. And travel in a straight line, break any walls in the way, and cut down any nuisance. What about the car? Vespa asked in a low tone. We'll leave it here until the night passes. It'll be fine as long as we aren't in the van. Won't they treat distortions as humans? Don't ask me what they think. There's no other option. Even if we were to lose the 2 distortions we've retrieved, saving our lives comes first. We don't have time. Ezra. Ezra takes out her gauntlets and hammer, preparing to make way. When it comes to destruction for survival, she should be better suited for the job than Vespa. Junior, give the detective a lift. Oh, wait, bleh. Junior, give the detective a lift! Bleh. Ezra yelled. Vespa put me under the arm. As unpleasant it is, I suppose it's for the best. Here we go, Detective and Junior! Vespa drew his sword with his other arm. To the west, a brick wall stood in the way. We'll breach this first. Ezra put her fist through the wall. It crumbled with ease. And there's a 2-story house standing right in front of us. Just as she tries to break this wall, Vespa stops her. Residential areas mustn't be destroyed during the night in the back streets. A taboo. I hadn't thought of the residential area. All of our problems could be solved if we can enter this house. Oh, whoops. Where was I at? Okay, there you go. All our problems could be solved if we can enter this house, but we need permission from the owner of the home first. It's not just a taboo in a nest, it's a taboo of the city. That means violating it won't simply end with a taboo hunter or 2 chasing us. The night in the back streets is a completely lawless hour. There's one exception among this, which remains safe. The residential area. An inviolable territory. The head of the city doesn't allow the sanctuary to collapse, and no one will open the door for us. Detective, what should we do? We shan't dare to commit a taboo that not even the fingers violate. I can hear 3 to 4 people sobbing inside the house. A group of strangers breaking walls and standing before their home would surely be a terrifying sight for them. The sound grew closer, and sweepers showed up from the mist. The sweepers seep into the corners of the alleys like water flowing over a toy village. They go anywhere a path is open. They're persistent and resilient. They aren't afraid to die. They swarm their target and cling to them until they've been cleaned off the street. The sweeper has died. They clean that corpse as well and continue on. Their orange hooks inject whoever they stab with a strange fuel. That mysterious fuel liquefies the victim. The melted remains are then recycled into fuel, clumps of liquid. That's what the sweepers are. Who knows what goes on in their minds? It's frankly strange that the head considered those beings to be humans. I'm not sure if they're even capable of thinking normally. Detective! I'll get ready for battle! Put me down, please. Vespa set me on the ground. I bit my smoking pipe. The yard of residence. Sweepers squeezed through the destroyed wall. While this wasn't our intention, we've put ourselves in an advantageous spot for feeding off multiple foes. Vespa cuts down the sweepers, creeping on us one by one. Ezra uses her fists and hammer. Her accelerated fist strikes the sweeper in the head, and liquid spouts from the smashed noggin. The same liquid spills from the torso of a sweeper cut in half by Vespa, and the liquid is absorbed into the bodies of the sweepers that follow, simply by stepping on the pool of liquid. 2, 5, 10, 23. Vespa's blade is losing its edge, and Ezra's fists are getting slower. The sweepers must be sliced into two or blown up in a single hit. They'll recover from wounds left by dull swords or lethargic fists by absorbing liquid from the carcasses of their fallen brethren. I can only trust those two to handle this. The first wave has died down. The time is 3:40, and the second wave will strike in about 10 minutes. We shouldn't stay here. We need to continue on to the west. However, we couldn't even make 100 meters. I know this won't work, but I have to give it a shot anyway. I knocked on the door of a residence. My name is Moses. I'm a grade 5 fixer from 7 Association. Could you please open this door? We need a place to rest for a short while. There's 3 of us, including myself. The sound of a person weeping came from inside. We'll just take shelter until morning. We can pay you too, Ezra yelled urgently. We want to live. Please leave us alone. Detective, I guess it's not gonna work, Ezra said in a discouraged tone. They're too frightened to be reasoned with. Thus, we have no choice but to start running again. What will you do now? We have to move to the west. Vespa picked me up again and ran westward, with Ezra following right behind. Let's jump over or go around the obstacles we enter from now on. We can't afford to check if every wall in front of us is part of the residential area in this thick mist. It's gonna take more time. Vespa and Ezra may be fast, but traveling 5 kilometers in 10 minutes will be a difficult task in their current state. We crossed walls and ran through narrow passages in the back streets. This Vespa kid is insanely quick, I must say. He sprints like a beast while searching for open paths. Ezra isn't falling behind either. 3:47. 3 minutes remain. Or not. Time's up. Ezra, Vespa! Sweepers come in swarms from both ends of the long alleyway. I tap the arm. Han Hee-jun! Yes, Doctor. Does this arm have any combat functionalities? No. Then, what was your boastful statement of this arm being one of a kind and expensive about? Because there really is no other prosthetic arm like that. It's equipped with the technology that allows us to locate you wherever you are, not to mention its durability. I hung up. Swarms of sweepers throng Ezra and Vespa. The two are slowly being pushed back. It's like stopping a leaking dam with just a palm. The water is bound to spill sooner or later. To face the sweepers right after dealing with the human Thunderbolt's army of corpses. Talk about a streak of misfortune. Detective! I'll try to keep them at bay. I won't let any of them reach you. Right now, I don't have the strength to take on a single sweeper. Ezra and Vespa will survive somehow. I'm completely dead weight this time. I place my smoking pipe in my mouth. Behind me is the door of a building in the residential area of the back streets. If we broke this door and went inside, we might be able to survive the night. However, breaking a taboo of the city is on a completely different level to breaking a taboo of a nest. The most one can do is delay their inevitable death. Unparalleled force will pursue us. Death comes onto us someday. Perhaps the reason I live is to settle what I started until that moment comes. That's what makes me want to stay alive. I let out a red breath. Dr. Moses, don't get any ideas. A yellow harpoon knocked the smoking pipe out of my hand. I told you that I can stop the first 2 waves. Vespa frowned at me, his body covered in injuries. I picked up my pipe and knocked on the door behind me. This is the most I can do while the 2 act as human shields. I'm Moses, a grade 5 fixer from 7 Association. If you let us take shelter here for a short while, we'll give you generous compensation. No response again. It either means no one is in the house or they're rejecting us. Crunk. The old steel door opened with a metallic rung. Hey! Ezra, Vespa, get in here right now! I shouted at the two. Okay, detective! Ezra and Vespa slowly retreated to the door as they took down the sweepers in front of them. After they entered through the steel door, I quickly shut it. We're safe now. What a relief. Thank you for your kindness. Moses, from the Seven Association, was it? I'd like to make a deal. A golden insignia. This is the symbol that distinguishes the fingers. These dark red coats, they're the thumb. I returned to Vespa immediately. Oh, are these the gun guys? I turned to Vespa immediately, and I shook my head. Whatever story that kid has, this is most definitely not the time. Around 20 people in red coats are looking at us. Let me introduce myself. I'm Isabel, a capo of the thumb. Oh, it is! She ground her cigar into her ashtray and extended her arm for a handshake. I'm a grade 5 fixer. I have to submit to the authority of a capo. I lowered my head and grasped her hand without making eye contact. Strange things have been occurring in this nest, as you can tell. We couldn't acquire any proper info because of all this fog, yet now I meet a fixer from the Seven Association. I'm such a lucky gal. Isabel handed me a glass of liquor. I poured the drink down my throat. I've been parched for a while. What are the grades of your friends next to you? This child here is Ezra, a grade 3 fixer from Seven Association, and I'd rather not disclose Vespa's real name and grade. Introducing him as a grade 3 like Ezra should be appropriate. Grade 1 fixer, Vespa, no affiliation. You dumbass! Vespa uttered, running his hand through his blood-soaked hair, and placed a hand on my forehead. A grade 1 fixer is in the same class as a capo. A grade 1 fixer? You wouldn't be lying by any chance? Vespa put his hand to the inside pocket of his coat. The 20 thumb goons immediately pointed their matchlock rifles at us in unison. Isabel made a gesture to halt them. Then Vespa took out his fixer license and tossed it in front of her. It's without a doubt a legitimate fixer license issued by the Hana Association. It's a pleasure to meet such a valuable guest. Please, feel free to rest up here for a while. Let's talk more when the sun comes up. As soon as she stopped speaking, the goons withdrew their guns. They're quick to change their attitude when one discloses their grade. That's what the thumb is. A gang of mobsters obsessed with class and authority. Provide them with blankets and pillows, and show them the room where they will rest. A couple of syndicate members guided us. This is a small house with a floor space of 70 square meters. There's no way the thumb would use this kind of residence as a base of operation. The thumb soldados stopped at the door and turned around to give Vespa a courteous nod. That's a gesture of asking permission from a superior to speak. Vespa returned a nod apathetically. The room is a bit messy right now, so we'll clean it up for you. The syndicate members opened the door. Ezra frowned when she saw what was in the room. 3 bodies of varying size were on the floor. They didn't even fire the guns. They merely used the butt stalks to stuff them out. They occupied a backstreet's residence before the night came. The thumb can get away with it. Vespa put his hands on the handle of his sword. I glared at Vespa, shaking my head. Vespa glared back at me with sharp eyes. And then he took his hand off the blade. Woohoo! God, that was long. Okay, yeah, I think that is a good stopping point for today for Distortion Detective. So thank you again for coming and reading some bits of this with me, Dwarf.
We have 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll probably finish Distortion Detective next time.
Oh, really? Was there...
They kind of ended this abruptly. Or at least it hasn't updated in a hot minute.
Let's see, yeah, 2021. Oh, 482. Yeah, we're at 35 next time, so... Yeah, I think we will finish it next time. Woo.
Then he's gonna go to Leviathan.
Yeah! And get to learn about Charon and Virgilius.
Unfortunately, I can't read fucking Korean. So I can't look at why I can't read this. Oh, right, it's like privated right now, probably because of the drama, I bet.
Oh, I see. Makes sense.
I, of course, know a way around this.
I don't know if I can stream it if it's taken down publicly because of drama reasons.
I don't know.
Distortion Detective is up publicly, so I figure it's fine to stream, but I don't know if that one's not.
I don't know if it's private. Like I can't read Korean. Let me try.
Can you link me?
Here. You can see Leviathan right there. You click on it, and then...
Let me see. Oh, Leviathan. Huh.
Let's Google Translate, say. Oh, okay, this is an adult content warning, so I think you probably just need a fucking account, maybe?
Make an account? Okay.
So, I mean, I assume that... But this is just book 3, what is this? Like, half of this is... Most of it is missing. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Yeah.
I think it's probably, maybe, it could be like the translation wasn't finished. I don't actually know.
What even is this? I see a thing of Callie. Oh, a freighter called Gion?
That was the YouTube thing.
The drama? Why has it got Callie on it, though?
What are you talking about?
It's got Callie on it. Oh, not anymore. That's weird. Why'd they use Callie as the image for that?
Let me go back, let me look at it. I don't see what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
Point is, it's probably fine to read it. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I also can't fucking read this language, obviously.
Yeah, I'll have to make an account, I guess? Yeah.
I can get it.
I'd like to, if I'm streaming it, do it through legal means. But yeah.
I mean, if it's available and the only real thing is you need to make an account, like, I don't really see the problem.
It's true. Okay. I'm gonna go on a quick BRB, go check in on my uncle and stuff. But I'll be back to read some .hack Legend of the Twilight. So I'll see y'all in a bit. More reading! Yippee!